So we want to start off with the first principle to building an accountable relationship is define your core values. Um, so defining your core values is basically attributes that make you who you are. They're a set of attributes that when you walk in any room, they radiate off you. They're something that you're not going to budge. They actually allow you to establish your boundaries, and they allow you to, really have a greater sense of self wherever you are. So you're not spending more time in your relationships worrying about who you are, but you bring who you are to your relationships.
Yeah, and when establishing your core values is really being able to articulate what you want, what you stand for, what you're going to deal with, what you're not going to deal with, and have that understanding with the person that you're dealing with. A
That,
lot of times when people within in relationships, it's go with the flow, is predicated on feeling, and then they sprinkle the core values in at within the relationship when there are tough decisions that need to be made. So it's really important to weed out the nonsense at the very beginning by being very clear. And clear meaning that you just don't assume that I know what you're trying to say, or I believe that, say one of your core values is you believe in honesty, right? I can't assume that you and I believe that honesty is the same thing, although we should,
that,
based on Webster dictionary. But you may take in honesty as I forthcomingly tell you what's going on, right? Another person may think honest is you ask, I tell. But if you don't ask, I won't tell. I'm still being honest, but I'm lying by omission, or I'm not bringing stuff to the table by omission. So it's really important that when you guys define certain words, you guys are on the same page, because if you don't, you're gonna forever not be speaking the same language.
definitely. We work with friends and we work with couples, and we helping them build their relationships back up if they have issues, or whether they might have a very strong foundation. They want to learn how to truly maintain the foundation for the long haul. We ask a lot of them, what are your core values?
Well,
And
that's the first thing that's asked.
yeah, and a lot of them are stuck. And we experienced this, I mean, in about 75% of our sessions. So we really want people to start thinking about what's your core values, what do you bring to the table? Like, obviously, we believe in being accountable. So that's one of our strongest core values. So any relationship we're in, whether we're at work, whether, any relationship we enter, any room we enter, we're expecting people to be accountable. We're expecting them to, honor their words. We're expecting them to
Show up when they say they're going to
show up
show
when
up.
say they're going to show up. We're expecting them to be present at all times. And that's what the expectation is. So I guess accountability covers a lot, but we also believe in honesty. And we believe honesty is linked to transparency,
Hmm.
right? So if you're saying you're honest, doesn't mean that you're truthful, because truthful is what's actually happening. But honesty is stating what you believe is happening and being transparent about what you believe is happening at all times, so you can keep people abreast on what is going on with you from day to day, time to time. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. If
No,
you deal with somebody that's not honest or not transparent, it is harder for you to actually flourish
connect
a
with them.
relationship with them. Yeah,
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's, yeah, if you're not transparent and you're not putting yourself in a position where that person doesn't have to second guess what you're thinking, what you believe, then yes, your relationship will flourish. But if you're not being totally transparent and you're not always being honest or not always telling the truth, it's really hard for the person that you're trying to build with to gauge who you are and even know how to deal with you.
definitely.
So you really are giving them tools on how to coexist with you. When you, the more you hold back, the less tools that they have in their toolkit. And that's how most people get tripped up within the relationship. But it's like another, honesty is a big word that people use all the time, but loyalty is another word. What I believe loyalty is may be totally different than what Aziz believes, and but we both say that's a core. Say we both say that believe that that's a core value. My loyalty could be I'm a ride or die chick, right? And no matter what you do, I'm gonna be there, good, bad, or anything in between. Aziz may believe that loyalty is I'm not going to stand by you, doing things that are not healthy. I'll help. We'll have a conversation. I'll bring to your attention. But the minute that you don't want to get help for your behavior, my loyalty to you is to step away so that you can see so that you can see clearly that I'm not supporting you doing the wrong thing, but I will always support you doing the right thing. And I think that most people don't look at it that way. Like when people think of loyalty, they think of you're down with me regardless of what's happening. But as soon as I'm not getting what I want out of a relationship, then who am I really loyal to?
That's
And
the
I think that
first
that's
thing
what.
you have. I mean, you made a good point. The first thing we say is define your core values. So in doing that, you have to define the terms of your core values, right? So you made a good point when you say define your terms, because that's loyalty. And when you have a clear understanding, like we're accountable relationship builders. So obviously we have a clear understanding of how to define these words, how to define core values. And
Mhm.
loyalty across the board just means it's a boomerang. Everything's a boomerang.
Yes.
Everything should be reciprocated in a relationship. So if you're being loyal to somebody who's not being loyal to you, it's not loyal.
Mhm.
So we need to be clear on that. I'm gonna help you if you're sick. I'm gonna help you if you have a problem that's out of control. But once you're disloyal to the relationship by performing selfish acts, I have to really decide if I want to be in a relationship. It's not disloyal for me to make a decision, because your disloyal led to me having to make a decision, which is your disloyalty. And my core value is loyalty. So therefore, it's forcing me to now choose my principles over you. So what we're basically saying is your principles should be your number one priority. So you should choose your principles over everybody. You should attract people. You should attract people through your principles. You're not attracting people through your principles, through your core values, then you're going to have hardships in your relationships. And I'm not going to say with attracting people with core values, you're not going to have hardships, but they're going to be more environmental factors. They're going to be
But
more things that are out of your control. They're not going to be things that you control within the relationship. You know what I mean? Between two people, because y'all share the same core values, y'all have the same destination, and y'all focus on the same outcome.
yeah, that's what I was gonna be clear on. Yeah, you have to have the same core values in order to be successful within the relationship, and
Or
it's
similar core values,
similar. Yeah,
or
similar.
similar core values.
But that's the benchmark. That's the breadcrumbs to when things are not going, when things are kind of not on the, when you guys are not on the same page, or there's a disconnect within the relationship, you can go back to those core values and say, this is what we truly believe in. Let's start from here. Let's bring it back to the basics.
Definitely.
If you ever feel like you're struggling within the relationship, sit back and think, hey, did I ever establish what our core values were individually and as a couple? And or if we already established it, and then you guys are struggling, go back to it and just say, like, hey, we both believed in these four things. If we both went back there, then we should be okay, unless something changed, right? So it's really important to have that foundation and to even know where you came from. The past allows us to be who we want to be in the future, but that's a part of the relationship, a part of who you are, that you can always refer back to make sure that you guys are on the right page.
Definitely.
And that's why it's really important that you know what they are from the very beginning. But if you didn't establish it, is it's you can always take a minute, take a break, not a break, but take a minute within the relationship or some time and say, hey, I want to create a solid foundation for us. We should create a solid foundation. Let's establish these core values so that we can make sure that we have something to refer back to. It's
Definitely.
like
We
people.
have our faith. Our faith runs us. We don't run our faith. So the reason why you establish the faith of the relationship, because the relationship is a faith. So the reason you establish the faith of the relationship is because when you're not at your best, you know what to strive for. You always know that that's the benchmark. That's what you're shooting for to maintain for the rest of your relationship. So anytime somebody's not maintaining it, that's how we hold each other accountable, through the core values, through the faith we believe in.
You know,
So
it's funny
it's
that you
important.
mentioned that because I was gonna say, you know, Aziz used to always say that when he's in a committed relationship, it's as if he's married, right? Because he believes he has
I am
core
married,
values.
not as if. I am
Huh?
married.
You
Well,
are married.
yeah,
Okay,
I am
sorry.
married.
But you not, but but I said as if it's because you legally you're not.
Yeah, legally I'm not, but obviously I am
But
married.
but
Yeah.
let me, can I
And
finish what I was saying? I was gonna cover
I,
all of that. Can I finish what I was saying
okay,
first?
do your thing. Do your thing.
So he believes that when he's committed within a relationship, he's all the way in. He believes in, he has principles that are gonna keep him in check, and he's always gonna make sure that he's putting himself and the person that he's with in the best position for the relationship to succeed, right? And that goes with having those principles. It's like when your core values are like vows, right? It's like you vow to believe in these things, and you don't have to be married to do so. And
Definitely.
I never used to get when Aziz used to say that, it I got it conceptually, right? But I still, it's still, I didn't really truly get it. You
Well,
know what I
really, then
mean?
you didn't get it conceptually. You
Well, then
understood it,
I understood it. Yeah,
but you
sorry.
didn't really
You're right.
truly
Sorry.
grasp it.
I understood what he was saying. I didn't get it conceptually
Yeah,
because
because you didn't
I'm
see
like, but you're not
how
married.
it
But
to practice. Well,
yeah,
you
but
really
what
just wanted to get married. That's the thing.
I just want to get.
You was focused on being legally married.
Well,
So
yeah, I
you
think, yeah,
okay, this dude
it's
is
one of
full
those
of it.
things where you get
He
focused
just
on the
don't want
wrong.
to commit. So
Who said that again?
no, I'm saying what you're thinking is okay. This dude's full of it. He just don't want to commit. I want a full,
I
prolonged.
never thought that you was full of it. I just didn't think that what was the big, like in my mind, like what's the big deal? You already say you're committed. Like why not do it, right? But at the same time, like you always said, and you said it back then. I mean, we were young at the time, and it was like my words should mean everything. If I say I'm committed, if I say I believe in these things, if I say I'm gonna be this person for you, then that should be enough.
Definitely.
And that's when it comes when and that's I want to bring it back to the define your core values, because basically that's what it is. You're giving your word. It's a vow that you guys are making, whether it's illegal, like whether you made it legal by getting married, it's still something that you should be able to hold each other to.
The point
And
is
that's the whole
nothing
point.
more spiritual than your word.
Yeah.
So the piece of paper doesn't make it more. It actually makes it just visual. But at the
Yes.
same time, your word should be everything. When somebody knows they could depend on you blindly, they could depend on you a lot more than a piece of paper. But at the end of the day, I still encourage people to get married if that's what they want to do. But if you commit with the intentions to have it for a
Commit comes
lifetime.
before marriage, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. Commitment is a
Commitment is
mentality.
something, yeah. It's once you give the title of friend, once you get the
Yeah.
even the title of parent, once you get the title of um spouse, you're committed, or partner, you're committed. So commitment is big, and your core values allows that commitment to be binding. So I mean,